It happened in the kitchen. No warning, no loud bang. Just a soft, humiliating thud as my body gave way under me. 1 second I was standing, the next, I was on the floor. And then came the questions. Did I break something? Can I get up? What if no one finds me? What if this is how it ends? I didn't break a bone, I didn't hit my head, but something inside me did crack that day. My confidence. That fall, a single moment, changed everything. I stopped moving. I stopped walking far. I stopped bending too low, reaching too high, and stepping anywhere that didn't feel safe. Better stiff than sorry, I thought. But over the weeks, I felt something worse than pain creeping in. I was shrinking, not in size, in spirit. I avoided the stairs. I avoided my evening walk. I even avoided my own reflection in the hallway mirror because it showed someone afraid. Let's talk about something no one warns you about after 70, the silent war between your mind and your body after a fall. Because once you've hit the ground, even once, you start to see every edge, every step, every crack in the pavement as a threat. You become cautious, then hesitant, then frozen. And it's easy to tell yourself, this is just how it is now. I'm too old to take chances. But what if I told you that voice in your head isn't telling the truth? What if I told you the fall didn't mean you're weak, it meant your body was calling for attention? And what if I told you you can get that strength, that steadiness, that confidence back? This video is not a workout tutorial. It's a story, my story. And maybe yours too. Because somewhere between fear and stillness, there's a quiet space where healing begins. You'll learn what falling really does to our mindset after 60, why most seniors stop moving, and how it quietly weakens them further. The first tiny step that helped me rebuild strength. My 3 rules for moving without fear, and the truth I wish someone had told me years ago. If you've stopped moving after a fall, or even just the fear of one, this is for you, because confidence doesn't return all at once. It comes back one safe step at a time, and it begins right here. Most people think the hardest part of a fall is physical. The bruise, the break, the pain that lingers for weeks. But for many older adults, the real injury happens somewhere deeper and quieter. It happens in the mind. After 70, a fall doesn't just knock you down, it knocks down your sense of control. You start to question everything. Can I still trust my legs? Should I even be living alone? What if it happens again, and I don't get up this time? These thoughts aren't dramatic. They're logical, practical, even protective, but they trap you. It becomes a silent spiral. You fall, you feel scared, you move less, your muscles weaken, your balance declines. You feel even more scared, until eventually it's not the fall that keeps you down. It's the fear of falling again. One viewer once wrote, "After my fall, I didn't leave the house for 6 months. I wasn't in pain. I was just scared. I couldn't trust my body anymore." That fear is real and valid, but left unchecked, it can steal your independence. Here's what many people don't realize. When you stop moving out of fear, your body begins to decondition shockingly fast. Muscles shrink, balance weakens, joint stiffness increases, reflexes dull. Even simple movements, like turning around in the kitchen, become risky. And the saddest part? You think, I'm just getting older. But what's really happening is, you're moving less, and your body is quietly fading as a result. It's not aging alone that robs people of strength. It's inactivity caused by fear. You don't need to train like an athlete, but you do need to keep moving, even gently, even slowly, even with support. Because the moment you stop moving altogether, that's when decline speeds up. So if you've been feeling stuck, frozen, or afraid to even try, please know you're not lazy, you're not broken, you're human, and you're reacting the way anyone would who's been scared like that. But there's a way through it. The goal isn't to erase fear, it's to move with it, gently, safely, respectfully, until it softens. Let's talk about what really happens to the body when you stop exercising, even for just a few weeks. After 70, no alarms go off. You don't notice it right away, but deep inside, your body is already shifting. The muscles that once held you steady, they begin to shrink. The tiny stabilizers in your hips, ankles, and spine, they lose coordination. Your posture changes, subtly at first, then permanently. And the biggest danger? You don't feel it happening until it's already well underway. Within 2 weeks of inactivity, studies show, muscle strength begins to decline, balance becomes less responsive, joints stiffen, blood sugar and blood pressure control worsens. And yet most seniors think, I'm just resting, healing, taking it easy. But if that rest turns into weeks or months of immobility, you're not just losing fitness, you're losing your freedom. Let me tell you about Joe. He was 73 when he slipped on wet grass, twisted his ankle, minor injury. But after that, he got scared. He stopped walking to the park, stopped playing with his grandkids, even stopped taking the trash out after dark. Within a few months, his world had shrunk to 4 walls and a TV screen. His daughter noticed, his doctor noticed, but Joe insisted, I'm fine, I just don't want to fall again. But Joe's balance was getting worse, not because of aging, but because he had stopped challenging it. That's the hidden cost of giving up movement after a fall. You feel safe, but you're actually becoming less safe. Because the best way to protect yourself from another fall isn't to freeze. It's to rebuild, step by step, muscle by muscle, confidence by confidence. And here's the good news. You don't need to lift weights. You don't need to go to the gym. You just need to start where you are. Even standing up from a chair, if done mindfully, can begin the process of restoring strength. In the next part, we'll pause briefly, because maybe you're feeling that tug of emotion. You know this story. You've lived parts of it. So let's take a breath and ask something powerful. Let's pause here, not to give advice, but to ask a question. What would happen if you never tried again? Not just exercise, but anything that scared you after that fall. What if you chose safety over strength every time? Let's be honest, that does feel easier. No chance of falling, no strain, no failure, just a small, quiet world where everything feels manageable. But here's the truth no one wants to say out loud. That world slowly becomes a prison. It starts as, I'll skip my walk today. Then, I'll stay downstairs. Then, maybe I'll just sit for now. Until one day you realize you're sitting through your life. I once heard an older woman say, I stopped doing anything after I fell. And I realized I wasn't living. I was just avoiding. That hit me hard. Because that's what fear does. Not just fear of injury, but fear of feeling vulnerable, seen, or less capable. It builds invisible walls around your freedom, and the longer you wait, the higher they grow. So today I gently ask, what part of your life have you stopped moving toward? What freedom, what joy, what strength is waiting on the other side of I'm afraid? No, you don't have to become fearless, but you do have to become honest. And if the answer is, I want to feel strong again, I want to feel like myself again, then keep watching. Because the next part isn't theory, it's personal. It's the first small step I took after the fear. The movement that made me cry, not because it hurt, but because it showed me, I'm still here, I still can. The first step back wasn't elegant, it wasn't bold, and it certainly didn't look like exercise. It was this. I stood up from a chair with both hands on the arms, and then I sat back down, slowly, deliberately. That's it. No treadmill, no weights, no equipment. Just one movement, done with care, and done again the next day. Why that? Because it was the only thing I still trusted myself to do. But what I didn't expect was how powerful that simple action would be. Here's what it gave me: a sense of control, a safe challenge, a moment of success, and most importantly, momentum. After 3 days of chair stands, I felt something stir. Maybe I can do a little more. So I added heel lifts while holding onto the kitchen counter, then toe taps side to side, then marching in place for 20 seconds at a time. Each new movement felt like an emotional risk. But with every step, the fear grew smaller. Was I sore? Yes. Was I scared? Also yes. But the fear was no longer in charge. That's what changed everything. Here's what I want you to know. You don't need to go back to who you were. You only need to go forward, one safe, supported, intentional move at a time. And here's a secret most people miss. Movement builds physical strength, but trust builds emotional strength. And after a fall, rebuilding trust in your body is the first step to rebuilding your life. I remember the first time I walked down the hallway without holding the wall. It felt like flying, not because I was fast, not because I was strong, but because I was finally free from the voice that said, "You can't." So start where you are, with what you can do, and don't compare yourself to your past. Because healing is not about getting your old self back, it's about meeting the version of you that's still waiting underneath the fear. In the next part, I'll share the 3 simple rules that help me move again without triggering the panic, and how they can help you too. By the time I began moving again, I had already learned one powerful truth. It's not weakness that stops most older adults from exercising, it's fear. Fear of falling, fear of embarrassment, fear of failure, even fear of hope. That's why I created 3 simple rules. They help me move again, with peace, not pressure. Maybe they'll help you too. Rule 1. Always use support. Without shame, I used a chair, a wall, a countertop. Sometimes even a walker. And you know what? Using support isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of wisdom. Stability gives your brain permission to let go of fear. It allows your muscles to relearn movement without panic. One viewer wrote, "I was too proud to use the wall at first. But the day I did, I realized how much further I could go, safely. There is no glory in falling again, but there is pride in protecting your future." Rule 2, never push through pain, ever. You're not in your 30s. You don't need to feel the burn. If it hurts, stop. If it feels too much, slow down. Gentle discomfort is okay. Sharp pain, dizziness, or fear is your body saying, "Not yet." Progress in your 70s, 80s, and beyond comes not from intensity, but from consistency and kindness to your limits. Rule 3. Celebrate movements, not minutes. Don't count how long you walked. Don't obsess over steps or time. Celebrate that you stood up, that you lifted your leg, that you moved on purpose. Every movement you reclaim is a vote for your independence. That's more powerful than any stopwatch could measure. These rules help me move again, not like I used to, but with a new kind of confidence, a quiet kind, built not on bravado, but on trust. I want you to hear this. You don't have to be fearless to move again. You just need a system that respects your fear and still invites progress. And if that means starting with 3 minutes by your kitchen counter, that's beautiful. Because every step you take toward movement is a step away from fear. In the final part of this video, I want to offer a simple truth. You're not too old to move. You're just waiting for the right moment to believe in yourself again. I used to think my fall was the end of something. The end of movement, the end of strength, the end of trusting my own body. But now I see it differently. That fall? It was the beginning of a conversation I had been avoiding for years. A conversation with myself about aging, fear, and what it really means to stay alive in your own skin. I didn't need permission to move again. I needed permission to move imperfectly, not with full strength, not with confidence every day, not without fear, but with love for the person I still am. You might be watching this and thinking, but I'm 78, but I've fallen twice, but I have arthritis or pain or weakness. And all of that may be true. But here's what else is true. You're still breathing, your heart is still beating, and there's still one thing you can move today. even if it's just your fingers, your toes, your breath. One viewer shared, "After I fell, I stopped doing everything, but when I lifted my arms above my head one day, just for a few seconds, I cried, because I hadn't done that in months, and I was still capable." You are too. So here's my invitation. Start small, start safe. Start with respect for where you are, not where you used to be, because movement after 70 isn't about going back. It's about moving forward differently, and every step forward, no matter how small, is an act of courage. You haven't missed your chance. You haven't aged out of strength. You're not broken. You're just rebuilding on new terms. And the fact that you're still here, listening, wondering, hoping, means your journey is still in motion. Have you ever stopped moving after a fall or injury? What helped you start again? Let us know in the comments. Your story could help someone else feel less alone. And if this video spoke to you, subscribe to Longevity Talks for more encouragement, clarity, and strength, no matter your age.